This case, decided in the Court of Exchequer in 1827, gave authority to the Ejusdem generis rule of statutory interpretation. This is one of the common law or Latin maxims of statutory interpretation, most of which provided ways to wind back the excesses of the literal interpretation process. The plaintiff wanted to travel from Clapton to London on a Sunday. He booked a ticket with the defendant's stagecoach and paid half his fare, which was the usual process. But when departure time came, he was the only passenger, and so the stagecoach driver refused to go to London. Obviously, the trip wouldn't have been profitable. The plaintiff had to make other more expensive arrangements by hiring what was called a post-chaise, which was faster but more expensive. When he sued, the defendant claimed that the contract was illegal because there were statutes forbidding most types of work on the Sabbath day, the Sunday. If the contract was illegal, the plaintiff couldn't enforce it. That's a basic principle of contract law. So, was the contract illegal? The actual statute, which dated back to the 17th century, said that no tradesman, artificer, workman, labourer, or other person whatsoever shall do any worldly labour of their ordinary callings upon the Lord's day. The stagecoach operator would pretty clearly have been involved in his ordinary calling if he had driven the stagecoach. However, he was not a tradesman, artificer, workman, or labourer. Did he fall within other person whatsoever? Well, a literal interpretation would say yes, of course. However, Lord Tenterden famously said, where general words follow particular ones, the rule is to construe them as applicable to persons Ejusdem generis. Ejusdem generis means of the same kind. This meant that the statute applied to tradesmen, artificers, workmen, labourers, and other people with similar occupations. It then became a question of fact whether a stagecoach driver was sufficiently similar to a tradesman, artificer, workman, or labourer. The court found that a stagecoach driver was not sufficiently similar. The statute therefore didn't apply to stagecoach drivers, and so the contract was not illegal. Because the contract was not illegal, it was enforceable, and so the plaintiff was entitled to be compensated for the driver's failure to take him to London.